Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Residents from the community of Belfort-Soufrière have taken to the media to express their frustrations with WASCO. The residents say they are being left without water for weeks, sometimes for an entire month. They say they've had enough. They are calling on authorities to address the situation with alacrity. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
Residents of the Belfort community in Soufrière say they are frustrated with the water situation they are facing. One disgruntled community member says she has been without potable water for months.
I would like you all to come out and tell we the people of Belfort what is going on with our water supply. It has been 5 months since I got water from WASCO, and what hurts me more, every time I go to the Soufrière office, I need answers to my question and I'm not getting it. So I would like you all to come out, tell the people of Belfort what problem are we experiencing with that water. And another thing again, I have to pay water bills. I have to pay a vehicle to transport water for me. Enough is enough. I cannot take on again.
The residents claim they have been trying to seek answers from the office which is closest to them, but to no avail. Hot 7 contacted the communications officer of the Water and Sewage Company, Sherry-Ann Gillard Williams, in a quest to find answers for the people of Belfort. Williams says they are aware of the issue and provided this explanation for the water shortages.
The reason behind the prolonged water supply interruptions is partly because we want to ensure that we, continue to supply every single resident with water. And for that, we use a valving system, we use a rationing system so that all residents don't get water at the same time. However, we want to ensure that an equitable supply reaches customers in, as many pockets as possible. We also want to inform customers that some of the water sources where we would get the raw water from for onward treatment and then distribution to consumers have all dried up. And of course it can be due to several reasons: climate change, weather phenomena, and so on.
Residents who receive substantial water bills at the end of the month have been advised to bring it to the customer service desk at the WASCO office closest to them, particularly if they have been without water for weeks on end. She noted that the company is seeking to bring on board many other initiatives that will bring relief to people living in the south.
We also want to inform residents that another measure we are taking to address the situation is the installation of 2 1,000-gallon tanks in Belfort. We are going to place these tanks in a centralized location so that people would not necessarily have to wait until we are able to truck water to residents in order for them to get a supply. Of course, we will be giving you more information on how the distribution of water from that new system will work, but we are trying all of the options before us in order to bring some sort of relief to residents in the Belfort area.
She says WASCO is aware of the issue, and while they apologize, they are working assiduously to remedy the situation. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Castries Mayor Peterson Francis says help is on the way for city vendors who have expressed concern about the decrease in the level of foot traffic in the new market space. Francis says although he is not keen on allowing vendors to set up shop on roadsides once again, he is committed to seeing the vendors' new home become a viable business area. The mayor says the CCC is exploring its options to entice shoppers to utilize the Castries market. Shaka Wooding reports.
Since their relocation from the temporary market site on Jeremy Street to the renovated produce market, vendors have complained that they continue to see decreasing levels of foot traffic in their new place of business. According to vendors, their previous home may not have sheltered them from the elements, but it did provide them with an opportune location to conduct business. with recent crunch-downs by the CCC on prohibited street-side vending. Castries Mayor Peterson Francis has reiterated his firm position on how and where vending should take place in Castries. He says as long as vendors are willing to comply with the rules of the city and remain in their designated location, the CCC is willing to invest in the necessary marketing tools.
Up to yesterday, we were discussing that. We have to do some advertising. We have to make people aware of it. I agree with that. But I am not going to take from the standpoint that we didn't take them there from where they are and put them in Conway. They are the same spot where they are.
Francis believes that efforts must go far beyond marketing if vendors want to succeed. He says the onus is truly on vendors to ensure that their services and products are appealing to customers.
Vendors themselves have to step up the operation. They have to present themselves. So this, you know how much that's going to cost us to get an apron, everything and so on. But we are going the extra mile. But I agree with you that we have to do some marketing for them.
The mayor disclosed that the CCC recently procured a quantity of aprons with the intention of distributing them to vendors. He believes that such investments show the CCC's true position on vending in the city. Jacka Wooding, Hot 7 News.
St. Lucia has been ranked number 6 in the top 10 countries globally to suffer major GDP losses as a result of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the tourism sector. Minister for Tourism Dominic Fede is reacting to this news.
The World Travel and Tourism Council's report on the impact of COVID-19 shows that Caribbean islands make up 50% of the hardest hit economies by the COVID-19 pandemic. This report, which aimed to reveal the financial impact of COVID-19 on world tourism, found that St. Lucia, the Turks and Caicos, Aruba, Antigua and Barbuda, and Grenada all rank in the list of the top 10 worst affected globally, with St. Lucia at number 6. Minister for Tourism Dominic Fede says this was a foreseeable development, given that St. Lucia's main economic driver, tourism, was forced to shut down due to COVID-19. He says as countries struggle with increased unemployment, the ripple effects are likely to continue to impact small island economies, which are heavily dependent on tourism.
Getting this economy back to work has to be the hardest part of this, not just for St. Lucia, but for the world. The American economy has lost millions of jobs, and they are grappling with trying to return millions of their people back into work. Our economy is so linked to theirs that it is going to have significant challenges, and it is going to have a significant amount of decline.
Fede acknowledges that debate continues to rage about St. Lucia's dependence on tourism. In his opinion, given the economic status and availability of resources on island, it would prove very difficult to be competitive in any other sector.
What I can tell you is that for small countries like ours, if you look around what has happened in the world, very few countries our size have had any success in any other sector apart from tourism and financial services. And, you know, I have not seen any model, I have not seen any plan where within a globalized liberal trading context where the borders are not protected, where it's open borders, where members of the World Trade Organization that has signed on to this new global era called globalization, that they are able to compete with bigger countries and bigger economies.
In 2019, global travel and tourism contributed $8.9 trillion to the world's GDP. Due to the current pandemic, the financial impact of COVID-19 on world tourism resulted in a revenue loss of $195 billion worldwide in the first 4 months of 2020. Jacka Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Former and famed principal of the St. Mary's College, Rowan Sion, has indicated his support for a change from the one-shot common entrance examination to the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment. Grade 6 students are supposed to sit the common entrance examination for the last time in 2021 when it will be replaced by the CPEA. The Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, or CPEA, is an assessment of the literacies required by all pupils exiting the primary school system. The CPEA has two basic components, an internal and external one. The internal component comprises of teacher-based assessment through projects, book reviews, and tests. The marks gained contribute to the child's final score. The external component is a test developed by the Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, where pupils will have a multiple choice test to complete. Sion says if the assessment is in fact adopted here in St. Lucia, it will be transformational in the lives of students. He appeared as a guest on the hot seat with host Crystal Riviere.
As it stands now, for instance, students who attend primary school and make their way into secondary school do so on the basis of one shot, the common entrance exam, which they do on one day, in one location, over a 3-hour period. Everything for the past 5 years weighs on this one exam. Clearly, that's not the ideal way to do it. The new plan, anyway, that's going to be put in place, there will be the opportunity for students to have a long-term assessment, which should be more or less over the 5th and 6th years, what they call the grade 5 and grade 6 of primary school, where they'll be producing book reviews, different aspects of schoolwork will be assessed. That will get a clearer indication of the ability of the child. And the exam that they do on the last day, what would still be some kind of exam, no longer called common entrance, but an exam, would be merely one component of a series of assessments which they're going to have to do.
Sion is, however, not a proponent of doing away with formal examinations. He says such assessments do have their place.
You see, we can't get away from exams. That's the thing about it. I mean, people complain about exams and so, but let's face it, after you do common entrance, you go to secondary school, there's still exams there. So it's no point having no exam. You can't just go to a secondary school having not done any exam at all. Because then what you're going to do is, you think you're going to go from Form 1 to Form 2 with no exam, you're going to still have to do an exam. And when you leave, you have to do an exam. When you go to university, you have to do exams. So exams are the nature of the educational process. And we shouldn't just look at them as exams as much as assessment. Assessment on your preparedness for the next level of education. That's what it is. We call them exams, but it's really to determine how prepared you are to face the next level. And some assessment will always be necessary.
That was former principal of the St. Mary's College, Rowan Sion. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.